Hi, it's actually 12:30, midnight, slightly over, but I just finished the basic layout of my project. This is basically a project that is used for rate derivatives pricing. I haven't touched the modeling part yet. It's more about GUI building, the general user interface framework building. So I finished this entire framework. More or less. I also skipped some parts that is really sector specific, for example, data quality control in the utilities. And also some data preparation part. For example, for the maybe you will see it clearer in the main GUI module. So you will see that, for example, I don't want to actually spend a lot of time doing the hard coding of the for the data transaction data preprocessor part, and also market data preprocessor part, because they're really sector specific, and just because in my real life daily work data is really messy, I have to do it, but it's not the part that is we're proud of, and it's just we're just buying back, or we're just the victims of the consequence of other people's laziness sometimes. As when you're trying to be a data scientist, somehow you also ended up become a data engineer. And also for the configuration wrap, it's basically about all the stress scenarios. So I think it's not important and not interesting, at least for now. But I think it's also kind of interesting to show maybe functionally how people design, for example, rate. How do they actually do something like steepening the rate, the curve, and flattening the curve? Maybe if I have time, I can also elaborate a bit more this part. But what I would like to share with you, or just record myself for the future reference in this demo, is that I would like to just highlight 3 points. So the first point is about so basically I can do a quick introduction of my general structure. So what you see now in this it's the main GUI frame, main GUI module, where I actually have a kind of high level frame where I have a high level structure as a rate derivatives pricing engine, and it's with certain sector, like about initial configuration, market data section, transaction data section, which is here, and the model running section. So basically, in general, it's of these 4 sections, but I kind of decoupled these sections into a separate controller module. For example, for the initial configuration, I would have a separate module to control it and to design it so that it's clearer. So basically, for this, it's about So my main UI acts as a high-level framework, while the sub module defines its own frame with labels and buttons. And what is important in this kind of setup is that because the functions that is defined in the sub modules, they're actually just a wrap. It is defined as a kind of argument in the input of this function. However, it will only be defined in actual when it's actually called in the main callback in the main GUI framework. And it is defined in separate function in the wraps, in the format of wraps. And this kind of setup actually requires us to be extra careful to add this lambda function, so that every time if we don't add the lambda function, then what will happen is that every time when we launch this app, those functions are called immediately. And this will lead to the errors, because most of the time the input data or the input information that is needed to run these functions, they're still at null, are not yet defined. So this will give the error. So without lambda, the function would execute immediately during initialization, which often leads to errors because the initial state is still not And in the main UI, these callbacks must be wrapped in lambda expressions. This ensures deferred execution, and the function is only called when the user interacts with the UI. Yes, so basically that's the whole point. The first point I would like to share. And the second thing is how I designed a specific function, which is upload data function. This is basically one of the functions that is actually taking care of the real business logic. So in my UI design, I tried my best to separate the UI layout from business logic. The main application owns the state, while the data loading and data pre-processing and even the modeling that lives in separate modules. And instead of returning, so what is, you will notice that there is an app argument in this function. So instead of returning the values back and forth, I pass the application instance. I pass the application instance itself into these functions. This allows each function call to directly mutate shared. This actually allows the function call to directly mutate shared application state. So in this case, the shared application state is this one, the app df paths. So basically, every time when they click the button, they actually can and run this function. They actually change the path. And because of this function are event driven and can be triggered multiple times, this approach guarantees that the state is always updated on a single place. So this actually avoids state duplication and keeps the state ownership clear and centralized, which is something I think worth to keep doing in the future, in case it is also needed to have this. And there's also one mistake in the very beginning I didn't pay much attention to, is when I built the frames for the sub module. In the submodules, for example, for the transaction data frame. So instead of using the label frame from the TTK, I directly just took the, because when you're typing when you're coding, now with a lot of AI tools, etc., they just directly help you to fill something. If you don't read carefully, you probably think they're correct. But so they actually, instead of using label frame, I used frame here, which is not so proper because the difference between label frame and frame is that frame actually is just a structural container. However, so it does not allow you to actually name it. For example, here I named it as transaction data. And so yeah, so that's actually some that actually caused some issue. And yeah, and instead of using and for a label frame, it's semantic container, and it also conveys meaning to the user. So yeah, so that's basically the three things I would like to share. And also maybe I can run, I already tested it, but we can try again to see. So okay, it's loading. So basically this is how it looks. So it is a place where they can actually select the output folder and give the net time, the date when they actually want to value the price, the options, the interest rate options. Here's the place where they can actually, okay, here, because I haven't put any default mapping folders yet, but here we'll list the number of currencies that, because the transaction data, they can contain everything. But maybe actually for really working purposes, they actually only consider, they only want to have the transactions that are in, I don't know, US dollar or European, US dollar, euros, etc. to be priced. So they can actually filter out something, and it's actually something. And also I created, this is something I also want to share. I think I also did quite some time on this. You can check my separate video where actually I kind of illustrated how to how I actually managed to, for example, keep mapping files that stay externally for users to interact with, but meanwhile also keep them, allow them to edit directly via this UI interface. Via this UI, sorry. Yeah, so basically these are the places where they can click and just interact. It's not yet perfect, but finally the framework is here. Yeah, thank you.